And thank you for, we normally have these in conference room 1, but we knew, or in the executive conference room, but we knew that the crowd is a little bigger today, so we wanted to have it here in the gold room. First of all, let me introduce myself, Rich Fitzgerald, County Executive, and be introducing a lot of other people as we move along. We are here today to talk about the Corporate Responsibility and Inclusion Roundtable that we had a little over a week ago. And this is something that really we've been working on with the entire community. It's been a great collaborative effort that really began, at least from my standpoint, back in 2011. Working with Tim Stevens at B-PEP, we know that this is a very important issue to make sure that everybody is included in some of the great things that are happening in Western Pennsylvania. You know, the great news we all see about job growth and about wealth creation and economic development and economic growth that are occurring here. We realize, at least I realize, that not everybody has been enjoying the fruits of those labors just yet. We need to make sure that from the top CEOs in corporations to the rank and file worker, that we've got to make sure everybody's included and everybody, you know, is part of that growth. So that was kind of the genesis of what we did. Why we did this, and we held this roundtable, which we reached out to many of the organizations, the leading corporations. The Allegheny Conference is here, and they brought their their membership along with this, along with UPMC and some of the big community organizations in this town. And I considered it very, very successful. We were able to share a lot of good information, get a lot of goals and ideas out on the table, share best practices, talk about things like the Rooney Rule, for example. We had Art Rooney from the Steelers who participated in this and talked about how they were able to do things when it came to management at the coaching and general manager level in the NFL. The county has instituted this as well. We have the Rooney Rule with directors, and actually two of our directors that previously had been held by non-minorities are now held by minorities in the African American community. While 13% of our population in Allegheny County is African American, 26% of the board appointments that I have made to the major boards, whether they be the Port Authority, Airport Authority, etc., have been African American. So those are the kind of things I think we're trying to portray and to get out into the community. Obviously, private boards and corporate boards, we're hoping for the same thing. So this is really a community outreach. It was not about defining quotas. It was not about making how do I say, hard and fast rules, but really about working together. We realize that not one size fits all. That there's each corporation, each university or organization does things in a different way. But as long as we're heading towards this common goal, and we talked about being really on parallel tracks, but converging towards that common goal of making sure that everybody is part of what's going on. So I was proud to be part of this and help convene this along with Tim. And I'm going to have Tim Stevens come up now and talk about some of the things that they were able to do. And then Tim's going to introduce some of the other speakers who've been part of this group, and then we'll bring everybody up at some point. But without further ado, the individual who certainly was the genesis of this and started my administration down this track, but Mr. Stevens. You got your notes together?
Good morning. It's a great day. It was indeed my pleasure and honor as Chairman and CEO of the Black Political Empowerment Project, co-convener of the Coalition Against Violence. So we chaired numerous meetings over the past year and a half, which led to the historic May 13, 2013 Corporate Equity Inclusion Roundtable inaugural event. Last Monday, the 25 convening organizations and agencies welcomed corporate attendees and other interested individuals as we were hosted by Duquesne University President Dr. Charles Doherty, what we call the first day of a new day for the Pittsburgh and southwestern Pennsylvania region with regard to diversity, equity, and inclusion. We were blessed to have the close partnership of County Exec Rich Fitzgerald in this entire process, with the official call going out to corporate Pittsburgh from our corporate co-chairs, Bob Agbede, President and CEO of Chester Engineers, Lauren Ellsworth, partner in charge, JonesDay, and Dennis Yablonsky, CEO of the Allegheny Conference of Community Development, in helping us lead this powerful conversation. Our corporate co-chairs were joined on the panel facilitated by Professor Paul T. Hopper of the University of Pittsburgh's Katz School of Business, by Stephanie Pashman, CEO of the Three Rivers Workforce Investment Board, Travis Williams, COO of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Let's have a hand for the Penguins. Marcia Jones, Executive Vice President and Chief Diversity Officer of PNC Bank. Rob DeMache, CFO of UPMC, gave a powerful and special charge to his fellow corporate executives, some of which we'll hear later. Laura Ellsworth gave the final call to action. Bill Flanagan, Vice President of Corporate Relations and Community Development for Allegheny Conference Community Development, emceed today's event. We were also fortunate to have, as Rich Fitzgerald mentioned, Art Rooney too, share how the Rooney Rule was born, its purpose, and how it might be applied to corporate Pittsburgh to affect how people are hired in the Pittsburgh community. Our Corporate Equity and Inclusion Roundtable working group members over the past several months decided to build much of this inaugural event around the possibility of adopting a revised version of the Rooney Rule, not only to apply to top management positions of area corporations, but for consideration of its application from entry-level positions to the top C-suite executive positions. Our working group also advocated for the adopting of what we call the hybrid Rooney Rule, which would advocate for African Americans and people of color to be considered in every selection process with regard to the awarding of contracts, be they construction or goods and service contracts. We are indebted to the special partnership of County Exec Rich Fitzgerald in this important initiative, and I want to acknowledge the financial support from the Boyce Foundation, Mark Lewis, Melanie Harrington, and Vibrant Pittsburgh. We indebted to Rich when, as he mentioned, when members of the Black Political Empowerment Project Planning Council and the Coalition Against Violence met with him in November of 2011. We asked if elected, as our new county exec, would he partner with us on hosting what we originally called the Corporate Equity and Responsibility Summit. Rich Fitzgerald did not hesitate to say yes. More importantly, he confirmed that commitment following his election. He joined in our upset about the conditions of African Americans in the Pittsburgh region and stated to us on 2 occasions that if the conditions of African Americans are the same condition at the end of his first 4 years in office, regardless of whatever else he may have accomplished, he would feel that he was not really successful as he set out to be. Now, as an African American who's been dealing with the issues of inequality and equity for more than 4 decades, I personally found those words quite moving and quite impactful. What I ask of all persons attending the May 13th event was to have that same level of commitment and that same level of urgency to impact the conditions which in 2010 listed our Pittsburgh region as 40th out of 40 regions in the nation with regard to the conditions of the black working poor, and 40th with regard to the conditions of the youngest of our African American citizens. As the wonderful Pittsburgh region that we are bigger than this. One of the deepest roots of violence is the continuing inequality and the absence of access to opportunity for African Americans. This must be an unacceptable reality to all segments of this region. What we asked for on Monday, May 13th, and what we ask for today is indeed a breakthrough in these conditions. And as Attorney Susan Yohe once said in one of our many working group meetings, we need to reset the commitment that many of those in attendance last week may have already begun to demonstrate. But we were clear that we all must be committed to moving from well-meaning to well-doing. We must remember, too, that not only of the working poor and the very young of our African American citizens negatively affected, by startling negative statistics in the Pittsburgh region, but as Alicia M. Keating, Esquire, Director of Diversity and Gender Equality of the Allegheny Bar Association, shared with us, so are those persons of color who fall into the professional categories. This reality is reflected in the 2012 survey conducted by the National Association for Law Placement, NALP, which stated that Pittsburgh had the second lowest percentage of minority partners of the 42 cities represented in the survey. We obviously have a lot of work to do with regard to changing the culture, with regard to recruiting, retaining, training, and promoting African Americans and people of color. That's the bad news. The good news is that all, or nearly all, of those who attended our May 13th event and who are here today have acknowledged the bad news and are collectively prepared to lay a new foundation for good news and a new foundation for the breakthrough in the level of diversity, equity, and inclusion for the Pittsburgh and southwestern Pennsylvania region. Our convening agencies and organizations, the Allegheny Conference on Community Development, and our governmental leaders must be in a strong, effective, and ongoing collective partnership to get it done. Thank you very much.